G'day, my name's Mark. I think most of you who are here probably know that, but if you're new here, welcome. This is just a bit of a quick tour of my shed. So I'm in basically a garage shed in the backyard of my house. It's only 4 by 5 metres. I've made about a bit over 100 pieces of furniture, and what I've managed to do, I started out very simple and very cheap. Build up some cash, buy a machine, improve my workflow, productivity and all that sort of stuff. But what I've managed to do over the last 3 years is have a hobby that basically pays for itself. Okay, this is my miter saw station. Okay, I've got a Bosch 10-inch. Previous to that, I just had a $180 sliding Azedo miter saw, compound saw. The biggest negative of that particular saw, and most sliding saws, it sat out about this far. So I was losing a good 30 centimeters of space. All right, Wanger Woodworks stickers. How do you get one? Okay, this area is also the home of the sticker sponsor shout out. So I've done shout outs for just about everyone here on the wall. Got a few to go yet. If you want to do a sticker swap, get in touch. Not everyone, I don't do a shout out for everyone. Shit fight, and another shit fight. Okay, I'm running just a DeWalt contractor table saw. And so Juliet Phillips, question. Is there any tool in the shed that I wish I really had? Probably a table saw with a cast iron steel plate and a contractor, and a cabinet saw on the bottom. A little bit quieter, a little bit more capable. As you can see, I'm sort of dodging things up to replicate those sort of dimensions and make it work for me, which has been fine. So up to about 2 weeks ago, the table saw was always here in some way, and I could send everything out. As you can see now, garage door now has a big wall on it. So this is one of the longer walls. And that's again, due to the noise. We'll get to that. I'm running a bandsaw over in the corner here. Again, this area, it's a shit fight. Okay, got a 50 to 100-year-old jointer. This was gifted to me by a bloke named Peter Vovey. Completely overwhelmed when this happened. The only problem is I don't have a lot of good size for in feed and out feed. Again, hopefully we're gonna solve that. Kirby from Run the Grain asks, where do I keep the bodies? My dust system, I'm running a 2 horsepower dust extractor. It has got 2 ports and I've got them going 2 different directions in the shop. What I am gonna do is hopefully enclose this area. So again, all that fine dust will be trapped. Got that tip from Cuffy's Woodwork. I'll send a vent outside of the shed. Walk and talk here. So I'm running 100mm dust pipe. So I buy these kits, which you get 3 meters of hose, heaps of adapters, dust gates and all that sort of stuff into PVC. There's a dust gate there. And then it all meets up down here. So there's my 2 ports. The back one is pretty much taking care of the miter station. The front one covers off everything else. And then I've also got a bit of loose hose, which I then pop on and off, and I suck up a heap of the crap that ends up on the ground. System again, 100mm pipe. What I've done is I've plumbed in the jointer. Go for white pieces again. Pallet shenanigans. He gave me that tip. That improves suction as well. Oh, and these things. Check those out. Little plug for me. I actually sell 3D printed plans for these dust adapters to go from threaded to 100mm PVC pipe or 90mm. I know they exist already out there, but this is purely to raise a bit of money for a couple of mates, paramedics who are going on a mental health break. Okay, so shit fight in the corner. Now for the table saw, I've had to reduce it down to, what's that in there? I don't know. Smaller than that. Anyway, there's a white piece there, and I've actually got a hole underneath the table saw because these contractor saws obviously drop a ton of crap and then there's no way to collect it. So although I keep that circular disc that's just an offcut to block it, so I increase the suction on the main port all the time, I can then just remove the plug and brush all those dust shavings in and you're good to go. Alrighty, Daniel Taylor. So that's the dust system I'm running. So the big change for the dust system is I'm basically going to have the miter station and probably the jointer plugged in. The bandsaw, the thicknesser and the table saw I'm going to interconnect as I need those machines, and they'll all be located pretty close to this. And hopefully they'll all be mobile in some way. Alrighty, so I'm running this thicknesser from DeWalt. I knew that I was going to give the thicknesser an absolute hiding with all that timber going through, so I did go with the slightly chunkier model from DeWalt, and this thing has been fantastic. Up until the noise issue. Now, before I bought a thicknesser, and that was probably at about the, I don't know, 60 to 80 pieces of furniture mark, I used to flatten all my slabs with a router and a sled, had no dust extraction, and there would be shavings all over the place. It was really messy, really labour intensive. Okay, while we're here, so this bad boy was the culprit for the noise. It's got the 3 knives, they were a little bit dull, and it was louder than a jet engine, just quoting the neighbour. He was all very good about it. That's why the wall is going up and some other things that I've got happening. But what I have done is, which nearly killed me, is I bought a, what are they called? Shelix spiral cutter head for this, and hopefully that's going to dramatically reduce that noise. This cutter head was definitely not on the cards. I had some other things that I wanted to purchase, so I put those on the back burner because I think keeping the neighbours happy will let me keep doing this, and then I can obviously keep making furniture, and I can get back to those other things later down the track. So this is actually a flip top cart. Underneath here I've got an old GMC lathe which I've almost never used. I think I've used it once, and Dale from Del Bassett Timber says, please do not use that as a lathe. And I said, okay Dale, I won't. But what I am going to hopefully do is maybe make a drum sand. Anyway, so the trolleys, I can just chuck those under here. They're on wheels. Trolleys and movable stuff is where I'm going to go with some of the other machinery as well. All right, Richard VK, how do I handle heat? Big ass fan. How am I going to handle heat now that I'm closing the door occasionally and I've got this big ass wall? With big ass fan and insulation. What I have got here is a press, got a couple of bottle jacks, and I use that to basically flatten my veneers, flatten skateboards. Okay, while we're down here, in this box is a biscuit cutter. It's not mine, it's David Kelly's. Again, meeting people through Instagram, building a community, it's all good. Sometimes you can just borrow a tool and we all get something out of it, okay? So, sharing the love, it's a good thing. All right, so one of my other favorite tools in the shed is this plastic bag. So see all these seat bands, and you may have seen me make longboards. They are all pressed together and shaped by sticking them in this plastic bag, sucking out the air and having them on a mold, and it is an amazing piece of kit. So the company is Raw Rocket Australia. They're in the UK, and Raw Rocket was where they originated from in the States. You can laminate pallet slats together, for example, laminating 3 pallet slats together, and you've got yourself a nice square profile leg for whatever you might be building. All right, corner clamps. Again, made by a mate, Alan from Matchbox Workshop. Righty, here's my sophisticated clamp rack. Okay, they're just pipe clamps. I get these clamps off Amazon or eBay. They are 40 bucks for a set of 4. You get yourself threaded pipe from Bunnings or your big box store for about 15 bucks each. Oh, Juliet Phillips also asked me, how often do I change saw blades? Well, pretty much when I hit a screw. Every few months I miss one or a nail. And that'll just take the edge off. I'll then notice that it starts to dull. But I don't continually buy new blades. I take them and get them sharpened. It is far cheaper. Okay, the next obvious problem now that I've built this wall is that it is darker than 3 foot up an elephant. So what I've had to do is buy some lighting. Okay, again, I've got a couple of LED How's Your Fathers that Cuffy recommended. They're about 80 bucks a pop. Carlpro Woodcraft, he asked me how do I handle those sort of neighbour interactions. So I said earlier, I've been doing this about 3 years, and I have been pretty lucky with my neighbours. These guys behind me, I've talked to them about it. I've talked to old mate running that planer for 40 minutes straight, tipped him over the edge. But he was very good about it. He just had to wait for me to stop planing. So he just let me know that it was really loud. All right, Gerald Struby from South Africa. Either an oil-based poly thinned down with a bit of mineral terps, or a water-based poly, which I keep in a gravy bucket. I also don't want to collect a heap of this stuff because it's just another area that becomes a shit fight. Okay, Matasaurus 94. How do I go about having space for the big project? 1.2 metres this way, and I've got a couple of metres here. That'll generally work for all dining tables. All right, James's Man Cave asks, is your shed square? Now, I don't know if he's taking the piss. I'm pretty sure he is, but let's just have a look. Check square. All right, so getting serious now. Samoan Sayan wants some tips on how to do the slide. He wants me to break it down by numbers. By 1, lift the elbow, bend the hip, slide. Always maintain eye contact if you can. Kevin, making sawdust. Oh, crackies. All right, James, Fix It Fingers. What is my most annoying comment, or do I have like a cut and paste answer? Well, to be honest, not really. I've had a pretty good experience with all the comments. There is one thing that does sort of shit me a little bit. There's a couple of people that are trying to tell me that I don't use pallets in my projects, despite all the effort I go to show people. Sure, I wouldn't be storing all these pallets at my house just so that I could pretend to make pallet furniture. Weird. In fact, if I was that full of shit, I probably would have had a cool business name like the Pallet Punter or something that really highlighted the fact that I use pallets. Okay, so here we go. Here's the back of my shed. Here's all the fake pallets I have in position just for the starts of my videos to pretend that I'm using pallets. Anyway, check out all those ones. Again, community, David Kelly, what a legend. He delivered all of those things to me. Alrighty, so finally on probably the most used tool in my shed is this camera jig by Wobie Design. All the filming I've done so far, except walking around the backyard, has been done from this one vantage point. So this thing stretches and bends all over the place. When I do a shop reorganize, I'll probably just have a couple of these. So it quickly lifts off, moves it around. I'm not wasting time setting up tripods and all that stuff. This has been the biggest game changer in my filming game for all those dudes playing along on the YouTube scene. It's off the benches. I don't get any vibrations. I don't kick things over. It's instant. It's ready to go. I cannot bang on about this thing enough. It is time to completely change this shed around. Now that wall is closed up, I don't have that infinite amount of outfeed table. I need to spin everything around. So all this area behind me, I'm going to move that over to the new wall. Again, that's going to help with the sound because it's going to send the miter saw noise that way rather than straight out the door. The other things that are going to have to happen is table saw is going to have to face this way. This will now be gone. So I'll set the table saw up so I've got a decent distance behind it for feeding stuff through. Now, another massive bonus that this change is going to let me do. So what I have recently done is bought Cuffy's Woodworks Aussie Ocker woodworking bench. He has 10 videos, very detailed on how to build this, and he has these plans for purchase. They're only 15 bucks. They're like 20 pages long. So I want to build this workbench and I want to do it long term, have it on the side. It is very detailed, but I want to learn some more skills, and I think this is going to be a great way to do it. If you want to join me for a bit of moral support, go and buy some plans and we can start sharing and helping each other. Cuffy, he's going to help you, I guarantee it. I think 2 corridors, if you will, either side of the bench, miter saw over here. I think it's going to make a really big difference. I've yet to insulate this shed. It's getting pretty hot in Townsville already, so again, the insulation is going to help with that noise. I may do some sort of swinging door here. I don't want to drop the roller door down all the time. It's a good thing. It's going to free up this entire space behind me. I can have tool walls galore without taking up any of this floor space. Same on that side of the shed. I need to fix all that. There is tons of wasted space in this shed. There's tons of useless storage. I didn't actually touch on is you'll probably notice all the drawers and the cupboards. They're a kitchen. So Townsville floods in 2000 and can't even remember. Feels like it was so long ago. One of my mates' house, it got flooded. I went and picked up the kitchen, and in my mind, it is a really good option for your shop furniture. One, it's very modular. So I've moved this shop around several times, especially all these drawers. They have been all over the place. And again, in this shop reorganization, I'm actually going to start to use these drawers underneath machines. So they become the trolleys, and it's going to free up a bit more floor space. It's also going to make a bit more way for the jointer to do what it needs to do. So don't discard looking up secondhand kitchens or demolitions or come pick me up free kitchens. They are really cool. The good thing is, you know, they're all super square. You don't have to check square. You just chuck a top on them, and you know that you're going to have nice level workspaces without too much mucking around. What I liked about the drawers and the cupboard doors is it stopped dust basically falling on everything. So before I had decent dust collection, dust was the biggest problem in this workspace. So being able to hide stuff behind doors or in a drawer basically prevents it all getting covered in dust. All right, so sticker sponsor shout out is Brothers Australia. It is a place to go if you are having a few struggles, or you think you might be having a few struggles with your mental health. Now, these guys have a closed Facebook group, so reach out, get in touch, and there's a heap of resources and just people to have a chat with if you're having a few dramas upstairs. Okay, not just a sticker sponsor shout out, but a t-shirt sponsor shout out. Okay, Brothers Australia merch, they're on Instagram. Okay, funds raised go to things like fighting the good fight against cancer, purchasing Christmas parents for struggling families, along with a whole range of other things. So go and check these guys out. Pretty awesome t-shirt. Rob Semler from Wolf and Eagle Forge, he is very big in that community. He actually bought me this t-shirt. Again, overwhelming. So the least I can do is show as many people as possible and talk about these things as much as we can. We're all in this together. Can't bang on about community enough. That's just another one that if you need to join, go and do it. Nearly bloody forgot. So, the one person I asked, do you think I should do a shop tour? Because to me, that's 100% poll, is Sumo's Projects. Okay, so he is a champion of the community, Big Sumo. Now, let me just give his new community channel a plug. It's with himself and Chris, Built by Chris. It's called Measure Cut. It's called Measure Once. It's called Measure Twice, Cut Once. I do it the other way around. Anyway, Measure Twice, Cut Once. Okay, follow them on Instagram and go and subscribe to their YouTube. So they're about 5 episodes in, and it's just really good chat, good community chat, and heaps of good information. They've already started the guests flowing. They've already had James on, Fix It Fingers, and that was a really good chat. You can sort of see how this channel is going to be awesome. So jump onto that, and I'll get back to pulling this workshop apart. Thank you.
Alrighty, so hopefully I covered everyone's questions. I may have missed a couple here and there or missed your names, etc. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you later.